And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, Armed American Radio's Monster Cast edition. And it is Monster Cast, Greg, in Dallas, Texas. We've added a boatload of new stations, and we'll be mentioning them later in the program. How about it?
Sounds good.
Yeah, welcome in, by the way. How was your weekend?
It was too short.
It always is. It always is. And guys, before we even get started, happy Mother's Day. And to all you single dads, happy Mom's Day, too, because you're doing it all. Love you guys, man. All of you. Happy Mother's Day. What'd you do for Mother's Day? Anything fun?
Just breakfast with Mom, and then just enjoy the beautiful weather that we have going on over here right now.
Everybody does breakfast with Mom. I did the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, what else is better,
Well, free dinners with Mom, I guess.
Well, we did dinner last evening and then breakfast this morning. So.
All right, here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast is underway now. We're here in the CZ studios with you in front of the Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone, and it's all being brought to you. We're the Car Firearms Group studios, CZ microphone at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Get the days mixed up, Greg. Sometimes that happens. We're live for you on YouTube only today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're over on X, just click on the post and go right over and watch us over on YouTube. A lot going on over there, and we appreciate you supporting us at YouTube, Armed American Radio. If you are not yet a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe now. They are allowing us to explode. Thresholds were met, so we're well on our way, and we need your assistance. Okay, guys, Greg, I think that does it. You can tell people where to get in on that little private chat with the knuckleheads over there, and I'll give the lineup, and then we'll get started.
Sure, you can also watch over at armedamericanradio.org or .com as well. But if you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it. All right, guys, guest lineup tonight, Cam Edwards coming right up in just a second, followed by AWR Hawkins. Might have a little schedule conflict with him. We'll find out shortly. Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets at the top of the next hour. He'll also be on the live video stream for us if you're watching the program. That's always a treat. And reporter Neil McCabe from Real America's Voice on a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with Ryan Petty, Justin Moon, and Brad Premo. Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com, and Cam and Company. Welcome in, my brother. How you doing today?
I am all right, Mark. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wunderbar. I got to have breakfast with Mom today, and so
yeah?
I'm feeling good about that. Yeah, you sound good on this Opal, man. You're right in the room with me.
Well, I'm about to take my youngest daughter out for ice cream. This is her second Mother's Day without her mom, so she's taking a little bit hard. I talked to my oldest daughter. She distracted herself by going to see the new Michael Jackson biopic today, and I was thinking about it. It's been 16 years since I lost my mom. And, boy, I mean, time just goes by so quickly.
It does,
everybody who still has their mom, spend time with them, because one day you're not going to be able to. So I hope that everybody had a great Mother's Day.
Yeah, and you know what? You apply. You're applicable to that intro I gave, man. Your mom and dad, and good for you. More power to you. I knew you were going out for ice cream. Good for you. So have a good time with
I appreciate that.
All right, brother, let's get started. Oh, good heavens. There's a lot going on, and I have everything that you've written all week. I'm not really sure where you want to start here, but let's just catch up and have some fun and do it in front of listeners around the country on hundreds of radio stations, man. What's at the top of your mind this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, right when I sat down, so Thursday I talked with Lee Williams on Bearing Arms Cam and Company. We were talking about what was going with the Tatadamiac, the diesel therapy, right? Yeah. He was going to be basically shipped around the country, driven around in the back of a van for 50 days before his latest court hearing. I just saw that Lee had updated this story, and the diesel therapy has been canceled.
Yes.
Tatadamiac is not going to be moved. He said it took a lot of work. Senior ATF officials even helped. But bottom line is he's not going to spend 50 days in the back of a damn van. He'll remain in prison until the July 25th court date. So I got to say, I mean, that's pretty amazing. And the fact that Lee said senior ATF officials helped resolve this in Tatadamiac's favor, that's another really good sign about Robert Sakata as head of the ATF.
Well, I can only hope, and for those of you around the country who do not have the benefit of getting the Daily Show or are busy during your days and can't hear the Daily Show, we've talked about Tate for a long time, a couple of years now. He's a young man who was on his way to becoming a Navy SEAL and did absolutely nothing wrong, folks, absolutely nothing wrong. He was selling gun parts that he was picking up off of Gunbroker, perfectly legal, when Biden's ATF went after him, excuse me, and boy, did they go after him. And they gave him 20 years in the slammer. They altered what he had to make it appear that it was illegal. And it looks like, I got to hand it to Lee on this one. You get it as a writer, Cam. but the effort that he's put into this is bearing fruit. And I agree with you wholeheartedly with Robert Cicada in office now, and the fact that they cut that diesel therapy out for the next 50 days before his trial, his upcoming rehearing. Good heavens, that means a lot. There may be more coming down the pike. I'm hopeful this kid gets a full pardon.
I am too. You know, the cert petition was filed with the Supreme Court. They're supposed to consider it in conference this Friday. The bad news is that the federal government declined to reply to that cert petition, and so far, no justice has told the DOJ, hey, we want to hear your side of this. And without a justice taking an interest, in that sense, I think it's a real long shot for that cert petition to get granted. So I think a full pardon probably is the best route for Tate right now. And, the fact that there are folks within the government who are aware of his story, I think is helpful. We've seen, Donald Trump issue, frankly, some bizarre pardons as far as I'm concerned. Tate Adamiak really deserves one. This is a guy who, as you say, did nothing wrong. The ATF, went to great lengths to say that these, inert, dummy rounds were real, that the RPG that was inert could be fired.
Yeah.
Basically that, gun parts equate to a workable firearm. And it really was just a railroading of, as you say, a bright young man with a bright future ahead of him. And I can think of no better person deserving of a pardon right now than Tate Adamiak.
A full pardon. I mean, this kid he doesn't need his sentence commuted, which I'm sure he'll take right out of the box. Okay?
Right.
No question about it. But this kid needs a full presidential pardon. What happened to him, as you said, was a complete railroad. And for whatever reason, Supreme Court, let's go back there. It's hard to gauge what they're going to do regardless. But you're right. I find it a little disturbing that they didn't want to hear the government side, although it could be that the brief made clear that this was so egregious that they didn't even want to hear from the government. That's
it could
possible.
Be. Yeah, that is there's a pony in here somewhere. Outlook, I guess, right? And
you never know. I mean, that's what's called wishful thinking, ladies and gentlemen. But something else to understand: the justices are human. We know they're following the show. We know they're reading you. We know they're on they're on Guns and Gadgets. We know they're reading Breitbart. They hold up some of his stories in press conferences. So they're plugged into this. So they're very, very, very well aware of what's happening. Who knows? It will be interesting to see. But this kid's life is on the line, and as a direct result of that, they need to move quickly on this and help this kid out. He has been railroaded from day one. Boy,
he's like 3.5 years into a 20-year sentence right now.
I think he started.
You don't get that time back.
No.
So, you're right. They really need to move as quickly as possible.
Well, guys, that's what happens. It's why we're, let's say, blessed. We don't have a Biden DOJ. Imagine where they'd be right now if there was a Kamala Harris DOJ, just continuing to do the same flipping thing that they did for the previous 4 years. Let's move over to Maryland real quick because you have a piece up about a gun shop suing after being denied banking services. I find this interesting because I interviewed one of the principals and one of the top executives at a bank who I will be talking about in the future when we bring him back on, Eric. When I see stuff like this, being denied banking services for doing what? Take us to the break with this one.
Yeah, I mean, basically for, doing what gun shops do. This is a Capital One, and United Gun Shop in Maryland basically used one of their services it was their Capital One Pay Business Bills program. And they had been doing this for several months, and all of a sudden, the third party that runs this said, "Well, no, you're in one of those troublesome industries. We can't process your bill payments anymore." And this was in March of last year. So this was before Donald Trump's executive order about restoring fairness in banking.
Yeah.
But United Gun Shops went through this for an entire year. And then in March of this year, after that executive order had come down, they were told once again, no, you can't use this program because of the products that you sell. And so United Gun Shops is suing
Yeah.
Capital One and this party called Milio for denying them access to this program that other businesses get to use, no issues.
Yeah, and guys, the cavalry is coming in that respect too. You'll hear me talk about it over the course of the next 8 to 10 weeks. Pay very careful attention, but you also want to look up Old Glory Bank. They're the real deal. We'll be right back with Cam. Indeed. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me, Mark Walters, in front of this CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Guys, and I need you to do me a favor. I need you to visit all of our great partners over at armedamericanradio.com. That includes blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. Greg in Dallas, Texas. Ask me how many Blackout coffees I had today to start my day.
Mark, how many cups of Blackout coffee did you have to start your day?
Guess. You gotta guess.
So you asked me.
I
Okay,
know.
here,
That's why I said guess. I want to be like a little kid. Guess.
I want to go with 2 large ones.
2 large
maybe
ones.
a whole pot.
You were right
2
on
large
it.
cups.
2 large ones. And guys, that promo code up there that you're looking at on your screen, that is Blackout Coffee. You see it across the bottom. Put your camera up there. Grab some Blackout Coffee today. You'll thank me for it tomorrow. Believe me when I tell you that. It's a great way to start your day. Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com. Welcome back to the stage, brother. It's always great to have you here.
Always appreciate the invite, Mark.
So let's keep going here. First off, a big congratulations to you in the state of Virginia, Cam, where your governor was smacked upside the head by the Virginia State Supreme Court that said, nah, I don't think you can do that. So your gerrymandering is history, thank goodness. And the fun part about it is there's nothing they can do about it. It's done.
Yeah, they are. Boy, they're trying to cope, Mark. They're talking about. So they have yet to pass a budget. The Democrats passed 13 different gun control laws. They could not pass a budget during the regular session. So that gives them the opportunity to make some mischief here because they can come back for a special session. They're talking about passing an emergency law that would set a retirement age for the Supreme Court, I think at like 54. So they can knock one of these justices out and replace him with a Democrat and then try to revive this lawsuit, only now instead of being the defendants, they'd be the plaintiffs, and try to, basically pack the Supreme Court so that they'd rule in their favor. I don't know if they're going to go through with it. Apparently this is being pushed by like Hakeem Jeffries. From what I understand, there are some state lawmakers who think this is a terrible idea. And I think they're right because voters will remember, and we can see the pendulum swing back the other way this fall and certainly next year in the legislative elections. So, yeah, I think they're toast. I don't think there's anything they can do. They have launched an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're talking about the Virginia State Constitution. There's no issue for the U.S. Supreme Court to get involved in here. I think it's a reprieve. I mean, they're certainly they haven't given up. But for this election cycle, it looks like their gerrymander maps are not going to be in effect, and I am very, very relieved by that.
Yeah, I bet you are as a Virginia resident. I mean, the news has not been real good coming out of Virginia lately, and when you get news like this, that is a smackdown, and it really does. But again, I'm going to go back to what Gottlieb told me on this program quite some time ago, and he says you got to hand it to them. Their creativity knows no bounds, and you just mentioned more of their creativity. Moving quickly, when Harmeet Dillon sent that shot across the bow, the direct threat to the Virginia governor saying, if you sign these bills, if they go into effect, look for the DOJ Civil Rights Division to sue you. Now we see the lawsuits flying in Colorado. Are you feeling good about that in Virginia now? And what's interesting about Colorado is not just the state of Colorado, but also the DOJ now suing Denver proper for its quote-unquote AR-15 ban. All of this could have, I don't want to shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it could have been avoided if the Supreme Court had taken and already given us a decision in that Fourth Circuit case, which they did not, so we are where we are. But isn't that just more reason why this has to be taken up, Cam?
Absolutely. And, the 10th Circuit is not, which is where the Denver case is going to go after the district court. 10th Circuit has not ruled on, the constitutionality of a quote-unquote assault weapon ban. Now, they recently did strike down New Mexico's waiting period as a violation of the Second Amendment. So that's a very good sign. But I'm actually going to be talking with Harmeet Dillon on tomorrow's Bearing Arms Scamming Company. So I'd encourage folks to tune into that because we are going to be talking about Virginia and, are they going to litigate? The Fourth Circuit has already said Maryland's gun ban. That's okay. So the good news is that that should make the DOJ's case get to the Supreme Court fairly quickly because the district court judge, I think, is going to have to rubber stamp the gun ban. It's going to go up to the Fourth Circuit. I think the Fourth Circuit's going to say, yeah, you know what, we already adjudicated this. The gun ban's fine. So hopefully the Virginia case will get up to the Supreme Court level and it'll be the government asking the Supreme Court to take the case. And I think that, unfortunately, carries a little bit more weight than a Second Amendment group. I don't think it should be that way, but I think that just is the way politics gets played at the court.
Yeah.
But I think, one way or another, we've still got those 5 hardware cases out there right now. And there are just more cases in the pipeline. So when Justice Kavanaugh said, within the next term or two, he expects to take up a case, well, we don't know which one it'll be, but there are certainly plenty to choose from.
Well, some interesting, just a quick side note. You make sure to tell Harmeet Dillon that she's taking Mondays with Mark Slot, okay? Just make sure you tell her that. Make sure to tell her that I said hello, all right? Make sure to tell her I said hello and thank her on our behalf as we did through Todd Blanche. I'm looking forward to bringing her to the show as well. And I'll lean on you to help facilitate that. But, Cam, I don't like to assume, but I don't know that Harmeet Dillon or anybody knows exactly what the court's doing on this, but she was very vocal just this past week about the Supreme Court taking that case and us winning an AR-15 case. Do you think she's got any inside dope, or is she just telling everybody what we already know, that is going to happen based on what Kavanaugh said?
I'd like to think she's got some inside dope, and that will be one of the questions that I ask. But I suspect that she is just stating the obvious, right? That we're talking about arms that are in common use for lawful purposes.
Right.
There is no reason, and by the way, there is nothing in the historic record that suggests this ban would be okay. I mean, you've had circuit courts they've had to go out of their way and say, well, these semi-automatic firearms, I mean, they're like machine guns, so that means we can ban them. Well, no, they're not.
No, they're not. No, you can't.
They're not like machine guns. There is nothing in the historic record that shows when we had advances in firearms technology, the response was, well, let's ban them, right? I mean,
Right.
And you think about the technological leap between, the single shot cap and ball pistol to the revolver, to, the breech loading rifle, to the lever action gun, to semi-automatic firearms. At no point did a state or the federal government say, whoa,
Ban the advancements.
This is too much for.
Yes.
Right, exactly, right? So
yeah, you nailed it.
Why would this now, almost 60-year-old model of a rifle suddenly be too high powered, too dangerous, too militaristic for us to own?
Yeah.
Right? It just makes no sense from a legal standpoint. But again, it also makes no sense that the Supreme Court has not taken a case before now. That's the frustrating part, right? Yeah. So I would love to know the internal politics of the court surrounding this issue. What's the holdup? Who's the justice that's still on the fence about this? I have my suspicions, but don't have any facts. But yeah, it is long past time for the court to take up a case.
There's no question about it. And I really like the way you put that. You're right, because they don't ban the advancements in technology as technology advances. I mean, come on. Guys, let's remember this, and Cam, you'll get this too. They believed those were modern firearms at the time because it was. Good heavens, ladies and gentlemen. Get it in your perspective. Cam and Company tomorrow. Watch. Check out Cam and Company at bearingarms.com, townhall.com, and watch his interview with Harmeet Dillon. We'll be back. Thank you for being here, Cam. Appreciate you. Welcome back to the program. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in the Car Firearms Group studios on a Sunday for you. CZ microphone is fired up on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. And when we come back from the next break, I will read you some of those new stations, or I'll do it at the top of the next hour. But we have a bunch of new affiliates across the country. We love that. We couldn't do it without you. And we couldn't do it without you supporting our partners, and we would appreciate if you would do so. Please visit over at armedamericanradio.com, all of our great partners, and you can link to everything over there. Need something that for your oh, what does the left call it? Your arsenal? Bud's Gun Shop's got you covered. budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. All kinds of accessories, cool stuff, clearance, all kinds of cool stuff that you can pick up over at budsgunshop.com. Don't forget patriotmobile.com, and get you a Patriot mobile phone. And just like those banks that are debanking people, de-phone them and move over to Patriot Mobile, a company that actually supports you, your rights, and your values. AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Welcome in, brother. Always a pleasure to have you here today. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, buddy. Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure to have you here, man. Let's start with this. You teased us last week. I teased listeners during the daytime broadcast when I knew that you were going to be flying to Washington, D.C. You did. You are back now. You met with Cicada. Give us a rundown on what happened with you at the DOJ and your personal sit-down with Cicada, and give us a kind of a deep dive takeaway from how you think the ATF is going to be operating now, because you sat down with your friend who is the new confirmed director. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was everything I thought it would be. You're dealing with a man in Cicada who is a hunter, grew up hunting with his dad at age 12, started with his dad. Before that, he used to as his dad's hunting shotgun, by the way.
AWR, can I ask you to kind of move the phone just because we're getting a breakup on there, and I want listeners to be able to hear everything. If you could do that, that'd be great.
Now, how's that?
There you go. Much better. So anyway, go ahead. He grew up a hunter.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, you're dealing with a man. He grew up a hunter, hunting with his dad at age 12. Before that, target shooting with his dad, and he loves AR-15s, loves 50 cals, loves 22s. He's got them all, and he loves an armed citizenry. He was a cop in New York City before he went to ATF, and he started as a cop in 1992. Mm-hmm. And he said what he noticed were hardworking families were trying to get guns to keep their families safe. And there were so many controls, even at that time. It was hard for them to get a gun. They had to have a permit to own, then a permit to carry, then a permit for this, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, basically, families were acquiring guns outside of the system, outside of the framework, just so they had one. But he said he learned there, you see how important that is. And he talked about, he goes, there's no reason to demonize anybody over any particular gun, blah. And, he talked about how he was demonized within the ATF for defending pistol braces during the last administration, and other things that he was put down over within the ATF. But he told me point blank, he said, now the leadership I brought in the ATF are all the people who are with me fighting the pistol brace. So I'm just telling you, if you think about that, you got an ATF director who's a hunter and AR-15 owner who loves an armed citizenry, who was fighting the Steve Dettelbach ATF from within the ATF. I couldn't tell you. I don't think I can tell you anything better than that.
What about, it kind of begs this question. What about that person or those persons that he fought who were supportive of all of the ATF's nonsense now that he's at the helm? Is he going to be able to weed them out? Are they still there? Is he still having to fight them? Are they fighting him?
My understanding, and this is my personal take, but I try to connect some dots without asking questions. I just listened. I don't think they're there anymore.
Okay.
And so I think you would be talking about individuals who would leave when the director for whom they worked left. And so, because they were all executive positions, they weren't 9 to 5 folks. They were all executive positions. So, my understanding would be everybody now. That's why he made that point to me. He goes, "My leadership is all with me on that. They all fought the pistol brace."
Well, I hope that's true.
I don't believe those folks are there.
I hope that's true. And you know, on kind of a funny front, the vast majority of them are probably working for anti-gun organizations being paid now on Bloomberg's watch, because we all know that they were there. They were trying to get him in as the director. Comes to David Chipman, who was actually on the Brady campaign payroll while he was going through the confirmation process, which thankfully failed. I mean, just crazy stuff over there. Now,
if you ever watched Ratatouille, you remember that?
Yeah.
David Chipman looked just like that mouse, but that's a side point. Anyway, keep going.
I never thought about that, but that is true. Let's talk about, while we're talking about ATF, let's talk about the changes to the Form 4473. I've opened it up and I've looked at the document, and it is significantly less work than it was 2 weeks ago. The changes on it, tell us about the changes, or is there anything on there that you think still should have been changed but wasn't? Did they go far enough?
Oh, I think they went far enough. I think they. It's hard to say that because you always want more. Like,
right?
It's like saying they did away with blank, 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 blank when they introduced the 34 proposals. Well, I don't think there should be a single gun control in existence. Period. So there's always room for more. So I'll say that. But I believe that with the changes they made, like doing away with the binary option, how stupid was that?
Yeah.
So now you have to choose your biological sex. You're male or female, because those are the only two genders. And if that makes you mad, then I would suppose you're angry over the fact that we have day and night. I bet that makes you mad too. But anyway, I like that change. I like the fact that they scaled back some language in the straw purchasing question, or are you planning on selling question. There are a lot of things they scaled back, and what they did, a lot of what their scale back was, people may not have noticed, but when they rescinded the pistol brace ban on Wednesday of last week, they didn't use the word rescind. They said they modified the engage in the business rule, but I'm going to tell you what they did. They rescinded it because what they did is they forced it to return to the language that Congress has adopted. And so what that basically means is we went back to we're private sales are legal and don't worry about it. And so they made the 4473 reflect that if you purchase a gun and you later want to sell it, well, there's no reason to ask you about that. You're not buying it to sell it. That's a different animal. But you buy it and years later you want to sell it, well, there you are. Fine. And so they made language match up, and I think they did a great job. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, it is. It looks like a completely different document. We'll take a closer look at it, and we'll be talking about it, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the evening here on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast as well. But I don't disagree with anything that you've said. Everything I've seen on it should have been done. I would have gone a little bit further, with the whole racial thing. I would have loved to have seen that, which on the old form was boxes 18 and 19. I'd like to have seen that gone away with. But, like we say, you're not going to get everything all the time right now. You're just not going to get it. All right. Let's go now to Harmeet Dillon and the term assault weapons being just a made-up category, and also some statements that she made. Greg, how much time do I have?
30.
All right, I've got 30 seconds, AWR. Let me set this up. When we come back from the break, I'll turn it over to you. But you have a piece up on Harmeet Dillon, and I quote, the term assault weapons is just a made-up category, number one. And number two, she is on record now last week, as we were talking about with Cam Edwards, ladies and gentlemen, as saying that the Supreme Court will take a case and will rule on AR-15, the constitutionality of the most common rifle in America. She seemed pretty confident about that. So when we come back from the break, we'll go over to AWR Hawkins and get his thoughts on that. And by the way, you can visit what AWR writes. It's real simple. Just search in whatever engine you choose, AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Click on that, author at Breitbart, and you will get a complete rundown. We're also going to talk to him about Mississippi as well. My heart's in Mississippi. We'll be right back with AWR. Yeah, guys, welcome back to the broadcast, national broadcast. Lots and lots of radio stations across the country tuned in, and about 10 to 15 new ones that I have knowledge of. We'll get to those later. We'll mention them during the broadcast today. If you're on the radio, you heard the attorneys on retainer rejoin. On the stream, you don't because of copyright issues, but attorneys on retainer.us. We'll be fixing that for you, too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's a simple fix. Attorneys on retainer, I'm holding up the card right now if you're watching. This is the equivalent of my carrying 4 attorneys if I have to go to court in my back pocket for $37 a month. That's it. It's also the equivalent of my having a team of over 100 attorneys at the firm who specialize in one thing only, keeping me out of the slammer and away from overzealous prosecutors if I have to use my firearm to defend my life. Attorneys on retainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. It's attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Use the promo code AAR. Get $25 off your sign up, and it's only $37 a month. It is an absolute no-brainer. Just put these attorneys in the form of this card in your back pocket like I have, like my family has, like Jared coming up has, like everybody I know has. Get the card. It's that simple. You can find them and all of our great partners, including blackoutcoffee.com and the rest, over at armedamericanradio.com or .org. AWR Hawkins, welcome back in, my friend. So let's take this now over to DOJ. Harmeet Dillon is saying and doing all of the right things, brother. Suing Colorado, suing Denver proper, talking about assault weapons term being made up category, just nonsense, telling publicly on X in a post last week, and I'm not quoting it, I'm paraphrasing, that the Supreme Court will take a case and they will rule in favor of the AR-15 being constitutional as America's most popular rifle. The writing's on the wall here, AWR. The question is, when? Okay, when?
Yeah, well, I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, the writing is on the wall. It's very nice, and I like everything she's doing, and I was able today in covering her comments on assault weapons, the term assault weapons being a made-up category. I was able to link to a story I wrote in 2014, which I based on a New York Times story that, I'll be honest with you, I can't believe they haven't pulled it off the internet yet, but it's a New York Times story where they talk about the very fact that the term was made up, just made up out of whole cloth in the 1990s because Billy Jeff Clinton wanted to look tough on crime, so they named a category of firearms, quote unquote, assault weapon, and that way he could then ban them and look tough on crime. And so I don't know if he did that before or after he pressured a 21-year-old intern or whatever her age was to do the things that she was pressured into doing. But Billy Jeff did all that, and it's all a myth. And that's the word that even the New York Times used, that it is a myth, that whole category. So, the Democrats have been pushing that since the 1990s till now. And all we need is one ruling from the Supreme Court, and they can stick it where the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah, and they're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. And like I was talking about with Cam, I don't know if she has any inside dope. Honestly, when it comes to the Supreme Court, my hope would be that she does not. We shouldn't have to. But nonetheless, she seemed pretty confident in her statements. And guys, the reason she's confident in her statements is the same reason Alan Gottlieb is confident in his statements when he comes on this national program, AWR, as you know, and says, oh no, we get the case, we win it hands down. So guys, we're 99.999% confident, and the other side is confident they're going to lose it as well. AWR, we always like to talk about happy ending stories with you, but this Mississippi billboard article that you've written with a photograph of the Mississippi billboard, to me, in and of itself, is just an all-encompassing happy ending story. Tell us about this billboard and what it says and why it's just such a beautiful thing.
Right. Well, it's located where you would come out of Memphis in the Mississippi. So you're coming out of Tennessee in the Mississippi, and it's a billboard that reminds people that Mississippi has firing squads for execution. That's an option for a way to execute you, so it tells people to think twice. And I really like that because you might as well know, hey, you're on notice. You roll down in here and act a fool, we will shoot you dead. And if the homeowner doesn't do it, the state government will do it. And I love that. I think that's a good message. And I've thought about it, Mark, after I wrote that, because we're all going to die. You and me and everybody else, we're going to die. But the thing is, the message Mississippi's sending is, but if you come down here and play a violent criminal game, you're going to die faster. And I think that's a good message.
It is.
That's a good message.
I believe if we look at this over the course of the next 4, 5, 6 years, I bet you see a reduction in crime as a result of this. And I'm also going to bet, and just I'm going to call it just a gut check. It's not even an educated guess. It's just a gut feel that where this sign is located, we know the crime problems that Memphis has. I believe northern Mississippi is bearing a large part of that because criminals are moving into Mississippi out of Memphis back and forth, and that's likely why that happened. But I believe, AWR, you remember going back to 1987 when Kennesaw, Georgia, right up the road from me, decided to make having a loaded firearm in the community absolutely 100% by city ordinance, okay, your responsibility to do so. Now, it didn't carry the weight of law, but what it did do is it reduced crime, violent burglaries, hot burglaries in that city by 87%, and they have remained at that level. Do you think the correlation can be made in the future with Mississippi as well?
I hope it can. I sure do. I hope it can, and I think that the bill, like I'm saying, the billboard is perfect. It communicates the message. I mean, you're getting at a Texas level now. In Texas, they pass laws to be sure if you get the death penalty, you can't spend decades living off the taxpayer before you're executed. They literally have fast-paced the executions down there. And that sends a message. So if you go down to Texas, that's why I always say, if you're going to be dumb, don't be dumb in Texas. Because if you are, if the homeowner doesn't kill you in Texas, the government will.
Right.
And they should. And Mississippi's sending the same message. And I can guarantee you, this is something else you can hold on to. With anybody listening, hold on to this. Home intruders who are executed never home intrude again. Recidivism rate is 0. And rapists who are executed by the state never rape again. Recidivism rate is 0. And so it's a message that people can hold on to. It's something you can trust. You come down here and act a fool, we will kill you, and you won't get to act a fool again.
And that is state law, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple. AWR Hawkins, thank you, man, for being here. I've got more questions for you, but we're just plumb out of time. I did want to talk with you about what Minnesota Democrats are up to. But, folks, we'll talk about that in the upcoming segments. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate it very much. Love having you on the broadcast. Guys, we're going to be here back at the top of the hour at 6 minutes after with Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, YouTube sensation over there, pushing close to 1 million followers. So, they're paying attention to his channel, folks, and so do we. Jared Yanis will be here at the top of the hour, followed by our political analyst, our second political analyst, this one, reporter Neil McCabe from Real America's Voice. We'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour. Guys, we're going to be back with you at 6 minutes after the hour. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to us over on YouTube. We would appreciate it. We cracked a bunch of thresholds over there on Friday, and we're thrilled by that. And it's great to see beginning to take our social media back after a long time. And we appreciate them for doing that, and we've been working closely with them. And we need your help. It's real simple. Just like and subscribe. You get at least 2 videos a day, sometimes more, unless I'm out or off or somebody on my staff is not available to do it or doesn't know how or whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, we appreciate it. We'll be back 6 minutes after the hour. Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets is going to be here. At the bottom of the hour, AWR Neil McCabe from Real America's Voice will be here, followed by a classic roundtable. We'll be right back at 6 after, guys. Enjoy these tunes, whatever you want to call them, until we come back. Take a break, get a beverage, grab some popcorn. Visit our sponsors, armedamericanradio.com. Back in a second. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast is now well underway, hitting the, just wrapped up the first hour, starting your second hour right now here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of the CZ powerful microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, the National Rifle Association, you can join them, nra.org/AAR, nra.org/AAR. Greg in Dallas, Texas. We are live on YouTube. You can watch us over on YouTube at Armed American Radio, and I'll let you tell people where to get in on the chat. And we would appreciate it if you would, as we continue to grow the channel and continue hitting massive thresholds over there, we thank them for that. Please like and subscribe and share the posts. Please, we would appreciate it. Greg, tell people where to go to get in that chat. Welcome into hour 2, brother.
Yeah, sure. Here we are at hour number 2. Got here real quick. If you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it, guys. So let's get started. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Hope you can hear me good.
Oh, my heavens. It sounds like you're sitting in the room with me, boss. Yeah, I can hear you great. I can hear you just great. Yeah, so he's coming in on the studio equipment as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, Jared, thanks for being here, brother. Let's start with this. You've got just a ton of great videos that are up right now. And I'm going to kind of walk, I guess I'm going to say up from some of the older ones up to what you've got up today. We were watching those videos ourselves during the day today. But let's start with ATF. Harmeet Dillon, what's going on? I want to get updates from your perspective at Guns and Gadgets for all of our listeners across the country, because your take is obviously very unique. You're right spot on with everything you talk about. Let's start with new ATF rules and the changes in the 4473. Let's start with that. And then I want to go to travel with you, because that's critically important, and not enough people are talking about that. Go for it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always awesome to be here with you. There's a lot going on. 34 new rules. Some things being rescinded, some being re-proposed in different ways. And like you said, the 4473, we're about to see kind of a remake of it. It's good because it's going to streamline stuff. I also pump the brakes on it because they're leaning into more of a digital age, which for me, the pure constitutionalist, it's easy to, scan things in and turn it into a registry, a la the ATF with all the out of business record stuff. But they are going to change some things. You can watch the video I did, but there's only 2 sexes again. And there's a couple other changes that brought it back to common sense, I guess.
Again, there's only 2 sexes. Again.
Yeah, right.
How in the world did we get here that we're even having this conversation? That they had to actually remove that from the 4473 in order to lawfully purchase a constitutionally protected item in this country is just remarkable to me. I also would have liked to have seen Section 18 and 19 go by the wayside as well, Jared, and that being, of course, for the benefit of listeners who might not be familiar with the 4473, that being the Hispanic, the race and all that. I would have loved to have seen that gone. I don't know if that's something that they're using to determine demographic makeups of purchases. I don't know. But the 4473, as you know, Jared, doesn't mean a purchase was made. It's just the best gauge we have. It just means it was filled out. It doesn't mean a purchase was followed through. But it is the best gauge we have. Is there anything else that you would have liked to have seen that they didn't do?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see it go away. I think it's unconstitutional.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. I do think, I'm being cautiously optimistic here. I do think that our new director for the ATF, Robert Cicada, he is a gun guy. I've heard a lot of people close to him tell me things that he has told them, and he seems to be wanting to move the ATF in a direction of, I guess, the way it should have been all along.
Yeah.
And our acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, is also a gun guy. And the two of them have some pretty good ideas, and we're starting to see some of that. Hopefully it goes down that path that we want it to be, so we can start getting some incremental wins. Again, these are all just proposed right now, so there's still a process. So they could change fundamentally, but we're heading down the right direction of ATF leaving the good people alone and kind of just focusing on criminals.
It has been just an utterly remarkable overnight turn, just like that, 180 degrees overnight. Now, I don't think I had a chance to tell you this yet. Yeah, you and I hadn't talked during the week about this particular topic, but I was on 97.1 FM with Mark Cox in the morning on that huge drive show. every day, or excuse me, every Tuesday on 2A Tuesday. I was on just last week. We got to talking about a lot of this, and he goes, they ought to change the name of ATF, the letters to ATFF, and it should stand for Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and First Amendment. And I said, no, we need to get the F out of here. And I didn't really realize what I said. I was referring to just make it AT and get the F out. And it just works, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we need to do with the ATF. We need to get the F out of there because they should not have any oversight whatsoever on your firearms and your rights and your freedoms. So
you need to sell that shirt, man.
I need to sell that shirt. Right? Get the F out of here. That's, well, somebody out there's probably got a leg up on me now because I'm working and we're live. But anyway, it was fun when it happened because we didn't catch it until afterwards. Now, as far as the 4473, we're comfortable with that right now at this point anyway. I think that's the best we're going to get, as you said. Rule changes. Let's talk about two of the big ones, of course, pistol braces, bump stocks, etc. Is the entire NFA next? Is that next? Is that next, man? Could we dream about it at least?
We can dream about it, but I think if we're being realistic with each other and the listeners as well, I don't think this government, as it's currently made up, wants to move on machine guns or anything explosives. But I think we're really close, the closest we've been in our lifetime in the last two generations, as far as getting rid of suppressors and short-barreled stuff off the NFA. We're really close, and I think the lawsuits that are working their way through the system are going to be that final nail in the coffin for it.
I think you're right, because you've got groups like SAF involved in suits, National Rifle Association, GOA, Firearms Policy Coalition, and a number of individual plaintiffs that are working in a lot of cases in unison together. And as you know, guys, there's power in numbers, okay? So when these huge organizations get together, and I agree with you, Jared, I think we are at a point now where I never thought I would say this in my adult lifetime, that we are going to see the end of this, but we are going to see the end of this. And I'm with you on the machine guns. That's going to be an uphill climb. It's as simple as that. And that's not going to happen during the Trump administration, and it's going to take a lot of time. Let's just get through this part first. Are you okay with that small incremental move?
I'll take a win any way we can get it. It's been a long time since we've had a win. And, force reset triggers are fun, too.
Yeah, force reset triggers are also fun as well. Guys, bump stocks aren't worth anything they're cracked up to be. I'm just saying, that's just my personal opinion. Force reset triggers are where it's at. Have some fun. Then when you find out how expensive it is, you can say, well, you got your jollies. It's pretty much that easy. All right, let's talk about travel. And we'll probably wind up carrying this into the next segment. But let's get started now with the time that we have. And you did a video on it. Guys, I talked about this on the Daily Defense last week. But the ATF, and I'll quote your Guns and Gadgets, because, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go over and watch this video, already at 84,000 views. Breaking, ATF walks back major gun travel restrictions. I have avoided personally traveling to certain areas because of what I was driving, where I was going, what I would have had with me, for this very reason. Does this save me?
Well, I mean, where the rubber meets the road is going to be the issue, right? The local police who... I was a cop for 24 years. The average police academy, the average cop doesn't know everything they should know. It's on them to keep learning. So what this rule is looking to do is to force the Firearms Owners Protection Act into the local police department so they realize that they maybe are violating your rights when they lock you up for traveling in this country with a firearm. Now, there are some bad parts to it. I don't think that I should have my self-protection device separated from ammo and locked in the back of the car where I can't reach it. But I do like how they address the big issue in the room. The big elephant is airline travel. We all know what's happened in New York, and the ATF is saying that's blatantly wrong. So I look forward to seeing where this rule turns out as far as where the rubber meets the road, because New York's going to push back on that. But it would be really nice to see if the Attorney General can get New York law enforcement in line so that, God forbid, your flight's canceled and you have to catch a hotel for a couple hours and you go touch your baggage because you can't leave it there. You're not locked up because there's a firearm in it.
Yeah, and guys, where we're going here, and we're going to continue this on the other side of this break, it's an important conversation to have. Federal law currently allows you to travel from your origin to your destination and anywhere in between, lawfully, with whatever guns you have that are lawful where you are and where you are going. Jersey, New York, didn't like that stuff, right? So if you even stopped for gas, all right, you could have gotten popped. And by popped, I mean you could have gotten a charge in New York, ladies and gentlemen. They weren't having any of it. Are they going to push back? Of course they are. They're New York Democrats. We'll talk about it with Jared when we come back. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And Greg, we've got a couple affiliates. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to a couple of new affiliates. and that is a KZQQAM 1560 on your radio dial, Abilene, Texas. Abilene, Texas, we love you. We love you in Abilene, Texas. That's the Abilene, Sweetwater, Texas area. How far is that from Dallas?
We're about 2.5 hours away.
Okay, because there's other places in Texas that are 24 hours and a half away from you.
Yeah,
It's a big state. We welcome you to the broadcast. And 99.3 FM, Lexington, Tennessee. Lexington, Tennessee. WZLT FM 99.3 Lexington. Welcome in. You started carrying the program live last week, and we welcome you in a week later, but we welcome you in. Great to have you with us. We'll name some other ones as well. And I do want to mention, too, sorry to lose 92.3 FM in Nags Head, but they flipped to Sports Talk. Oh, boo. Too bad for them.
Boring.
Yeah, so you get to listen to a bunch of sports talk instead of your rights and Constitution and all that stuff. Greg asked me how many cups of blackout coffee I had to start my day.
Mark, how many cups of blackout coffee did you have to start your day?
I had two. To start my day today. And Jared is shaking his head. Jared, welcome back in. I had to call Jared today and say, hey, what's the caffeine? Because the latest coffee I got, Jared, was called Strike Force. And that's from the monthly. I'm getting the flavor of the month, right?
Correct. Yeah, we have the flavor of the month and the roaster's choice of the month.
Yeah, and the flavor of the month this month was Strike Force, and it just said on there, it says highly caffeinated, and I found out today it was 200 milligrams of caffeine per cup, ladies and gentlemen. So if you get that stuff, you know what we do at the ranch over here, Jared? We take a scoop of that and add it in with some of the other coffee. If you want an extra jolt or something like that on a Monday morning, it works really well. A lot of you like to drink 200 milligram caffeine cups of coffee. Have at it. They've got it for you at Blackout Coffee, blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. You can use that QR code up there if you're watching on any platforms. Enjoy. That'll take you right to our website so you can pick up some Blackout Coffee at blackoutcoffee.com. Get all of our partners at armedamericanradio.com as well. All right, Jared, this travel thing, I want to go back to this because this is really critical to a lot of people. What most people don't understand is, and you bring up the most egregious abuse of this, okay? For example, I was taking a trip up to New Hampshire. I was considering driving for various reasons. Then, smarts got the best of me because I would have had firearms in the car. I was looking at driving through. Virginia would have been fairly safe at the time. But I was looking at driving through Maryland, New Jersey, okay, up through parts of the New York State Thruway, Connecticut, Massachusetts. It's a mess. It's gun-hating territory up there. But according to their laws, if I stopped anywhere on the New Jersey Turnpike to get gas, I could literally go to jail if I had an issue with the car, something broke down, law enforcement approached me even to help me out. Do I have any guns in the vehicle? I have Georgia tags. It's got a pro Second Amendment license plate on it, and it had an AAR logo on the side that said Armed American Radio. No, officer, there's no guns in the car. Of course I'm lying to you. Yes, there's guns in the car. Clap. Okay? We just don't talk about this enough. And you mentioned diverted flights. People find themselves, whether it's weather, whether it's a problem with their aircraft, whatever it may be. If it sets down in Jersey, if it sets down in New York, and you've got to check a bag and come back in the next day, folks, try to check that firearm in, which you lawfully checked in, and which you can lawfully own where you're going, and they don't like it. What happened, Jared? It was a nightmare. We probably don't even know the number of people who are in the slammer because of that.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it happens more often than it should because it is unconstitutional. But one thing, so the FOPA, Firearms Owners Protection Act, generally, if, like you said, if you were legal where you are and you're legal where you were going, as long as you didn't have any planned stops in communist land, you were good to go. But what the ATF said in this new rule is, and I want to look at my notes because I want to stay accurate, this also includes stopping for food, which would be a planned stop. Also fueling your vehicle, staying overnight in a hotel, dealing with emergencies, and switching between vehicles and or flights. So if you're going to pick up or drop off a rental car, you're now covered under this new rule. And one thing that the states are going to hate is it also includes magazines, optics, lights, slings, and ammo. Mm-hmm. So we know that's going to be an issue with the Communist 9, but we'll see what happens as this rule makes its way through the system. If you guys and gals out there listening haven't made a comment yet and you have an opinion on this, jump on that comment period because that's what it's open for.
Yeah, by all means do that. And let's talk about ammunition for a moment too. A lot of people in New Jersey, okay, Howell Point ammunition is unlawful for civilians in communist New Jersey, as you know. A lot of people have been eaten by that, okay? You're driving through. It's legal where you live. It's legal where you bought it, because unless you're in that communist 9 or even 12, guys, and the vast majority of us are not, you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're not violating federal law at all. They're violating federal law. The problem I think we're going to have here, and I hope to God I'm wrong, is these test cases now, because some of these folks will push this issue to see how far they can get the feds on this. And meanwhile, a decent law-abiding citizen is going to get caught up in the mix on this. Again, Jared, as a test case under this new ATF rule is what I'm afraid of.
Absolutely. You know what's going to happen. That's just how the communists work. Yeah. They're going to seize you, put you in a cage for exercising your right that the founders fought and died for, that the Constitution gives those police at the roadside no legal authority to take from you. So we do need a correction in this country. I do think the Supreme Court's going to knock a couple out of the park here in the next few months to 9 months. But I don't think they're going to address this until, like you said, someone is made an example of, and then we get a couple of year wait to see how that turns out.
Yeah, and it's likely going to be more than one person. It's likely going to require additional plaintiffs. And, the big gun groups are, well, they're going to have to bring the cavalry in once again. We've seen Harmeet Dillon's threats against Virginia, Governor Spanberger. Now the DOJ and your friend, my friend, our friend, Harmeet Dillon, all over Colorado and Denver. Denver specifically proper, AR-15 ban, getting ready to go effect in Virginia. Is Virginia paying attention to this, do you believe? Do they now know? And I go back to that movie Hamburger Hill. We've been up and down this hill 15 times, and they still don't think we're serious? Dude, the DOJ is serious. Are they watching?
Yeah, and for those who live in Virginia, there's a magic date I want you to remember, and it's the 22nd of this month. That's all I'll say. So keep your eyes peeled for the 22nd, because with or without a signature, that law is going into effect at midnight.
Yeah. Any idea on what she's going to do?
Probably the same thing she's done with Colorado and Denver, and she's looking to add a few more states to the checklist. So for those who are always out there, what about me? What about us? She is looking for other ways to create a correction or a circuit split, if you will.
Well, Virginians, July 1st, July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th, and I would love to see this on the 4th, but everybody is shut down. It would be great for freedom if they filed that civil rights suit on the 4th of July, because those suits will fly after the law takes effect, ladies and gentlemen. Once it goes into
I actually think you might see this lawsuit prior to that.
I hope you're right.
The 22nd is when, signature or not, it's going to end up going into an effect. So I think
you're right. You're right.
Me, I would go for an injunction so that doesn't have to worry about the first.
You're right. It's the other laws that are taking effect on July 1, and we don't have time to go into all of them, but you're right, the 22nd.
Yeah,
so look at this, maybe a gift in Virginia for Memorial Day weekend. Hey, Jared, Yanis, we love you, man. Guns and Gadgets at YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Close to 1 million yet?
20.
They don't like the channel, man.
Okay, man. Well, we're going to help push you. Go over and put yourself back on a subscriber list over there. Do mine while you're at it, too. We'll be back with Neil McCabe right after this. Thanks, Jared. We love you, man. All right, guys, we'll be back with Neil McCabe, bottom of the hour. Jared's a lot of fun. Wealth of information. If you haven't checked out his channel yet, please do. Guns and Gadgets. About 700, he's got 779,000 subscribers over there. The last two videos we were just talking about, his last one was up 12 hours ago regarding Federalist 55, why the people must never be disarmed. About 3,500 views. Yesterday's video is up to 11,000 views. And a couple days back, he's at 68,000 and 84,000 views. So go give him a watch. He runs his videos, run anywhere from 5 to 10, 15 minutes, and he's a wealth of information. We love him over there at Guns and Gadgets. Guys, we'll be back with reporter Neil McCabe right after the break. Don't go away. Yeah, guys, we'll get back to you here. We just got to make our mics live over here. We had him muted for you here. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast is continuing now. Blackoutcoffee.com, blackoutcoffee.com. Make sure to check them out. It is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, we start our day with it every day. Good, strong coffee, and you can find all of our great partners. Two of them, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, there's strength in numbers. It's very, very important. Arizona Citizens Defense League. Mike and Kwang Win were on the program on Friday. It was a great hour. I would highly recommend you go pick up the podcast. If you haven't done that yet, please do. Go watch a couple of the videos that we have out on YouTube to get a taste of what you missed, and then you'll want to go to the podcast for sure. But we need you to please visit azcdl.org. Our goal here is to have you join Power in Numbers. Yes, it does happen in Arizona, folks. It just does. Okay? We are desperately trying to keep Arizona from becoming Virginia. And Arizona, believe it or not, is teetering on the edge. Who would have ever thought that the gun-free state of Arizona would be teetering on the edge? But the makeup of the legislature tells us it is. So we've got to keep Arizona red, and it's going to be a tough job. They're working hard to flip that. You can do your part simply by joining azcdl.org. It's that simple. You do not have to live there. This is the nation's 1 and 2, them and Virginia Citizens Defense League, VCDL. I want you to join them as well. We all know what's happening in Virginia. These two organizations are sisters. Work with them, join them. The whole deal won't cost you but about $50 or $60, and you're a member. Please join these great organizations. Neil McCabe, Real America's Voice. Welcome in, my friend. It is always a pleasure to have you here. And Neil, I every time you come on, I just think about how long you've been participating and contributing to this program over the years, man. We thank you so much for it.
Well, I'm thrilled to be on, and hello to all the knuckleheads at Armed American Radio Conversations on Telegram, and hello to everyone in America who's listening tonight. And we've got a very exciting week coming up. We have the President of the United States, who said he is not satisfied with Iran's response to his peace proposals. And you have a President of the United States who's going to China, I believe he leaves Thursday.
China.
And, a lot of 90% of that oil that leaves Iran goes to China. So the blockade of Iranian oil is really a blockade of Chinese oil. Whatever. And then number 2 is India. Number 3 is Indonesia, but Indonesia has its own oil. But what Indonesia does is they have refineries and they have massive storage facilities. And storage is also the problem that the Iranians have right now, because by the end of the month, or certainly by the end of June, they will have topped off all their tanks, and they're going to have to start capping their wells. And so we'll see how long this thing rides out.
Well, that's my next question. What's your estimate? Do you have an ETA on this thing winding down? Here's what's happening, and here's what my concern is. This is also Justin Moon's concern, and this is the midterms, ladies and gentlemen. What does this have to do with guns? It has everything to do with your gun rights and your constitutional freedoms and your Second Amendment for a lot of different reasons. But more than anything else is the midterms. What Justin, and you know Justin very well, CEO of Car Arms, he'll be here next hour.
Of course.
Justin's concern is that this begins to impact the midterms, and I'm beginning to hear it. Now, I heard it from a very close family member the other day. Oh, my gosh, Trump, I'm worried about Trump. I just spent $80 filling my car. And I said, don't fall for the nonsense, okay? That's what the Democrats want you to do. Trust me when I tell you, when this is all said and done, gas is going to drop. And, guys, it'll probably get close to $1.50 a gallon, if not even lower. But are Americans willing to wait? And is this going to impact him in the midterms, which will have a huge effect on all of the wins that we're piling up on the Second Amendment with control of the House and the Senate? This is incredibly important, Neil.
Well, in Trump time, the midterms are like, they might as well be a million years from now. It's like in between now and the midterms, you have the World Cup, you have the 200th anniversary, the 250th birthday of America, and you have the 4th of July, and you have everything in between. And this war, this conflict, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be resolved. It absolutely is going to be resolved. And what I would ask everyone to pay attention to is the location of USS Boxer and the two other ships that are going alongside Boxer. And so this is a Marine carrier. Now, the Tripoli is a Marine carrier. That is in theater right now. Tripoli and the two ships that accompany Tripoli, the Tripoli group is really just a mini carrier group. It's a very conventional carrier. It has Marines, but these are the Marines who are rappelling onto ships and boarding ships, right, from helicopters. It also has the special F-35s that are flown by Marines, and this is the Marine version of the F-35, which can land vertically like a Harrier jet. Mm-hmm. So, but the Tripoli group is really just a miniature conventional carrier group that happens to have a contingency of ground troops like Marines. The Boxer is configured for amphibious landings, establishing a beachhead. They have 9 or 10 of those hovercraft landing crafts that will carry these Marines onto the beach. And basically what we're looking at is those islands around the Straits of Hormuz where the Iranians keep all those mosquito boats and drones. And you take those islands and, basically you take those islands and the Straits of Hormuz becomes our Gibraltar. And, 400 years ago, the English recognized that if they controlled Gibraltar, they controlled the in and out of the Western Mediterranean, and they've held on to it ever since. They even held on to it during World War II, and they just never gave it back. And so, the Iranians want to turn the strait into an Iranian toll booth. Well, that ain't going to happen. And so either it's free navigation for everybody, or the United States is just going to have to take those islands. And so there are different targets, right? Our first targets were the military targets. The second targets were the industrial and economic targets, and we pulled back on that. The Israelis basically took care of the political targets by knocking out the leadership in Tehran. And so, you have Karg Island. This is probably more than you asked for, Mark. But Karg Island is 400 miles away from the strait. But Karg Island is where all the tankers are loaded up. 90% of Iran's oil goes through the Karg Island. So, you take Karg Island, you wipe out take away the Iranian oil industry. You take out the islands at the Strait of Hormuz, and you control the strait. And so, and then, of course, 20 years from now, everybody will look back, Mark, and they will say, it was this war, the third Gulf War, right? If you think about it, this is the third Gulf War. In the third Gulf War, we exposed NATO to be a hoax, which won't even exist. In a year, NATO won't even exist. And then it also will blow up OPEC because, of course, Oman is leaving OPEC. Venezuela, of course, is next. And then you're going to start seeing Kazakhstan and some of these other countries fall away. And we are finally going to, we've been living in a world designed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Stalin, right? And basically that world is finally, there have been cracks and there have been some minor changes, but that world order created by FDR and Stalin is just breaking all apart. And it's wonderful.
It is going to be, when you combine this with everything that's going on, including what's going on here in particular in the United States of America, Americans will be shocked when they see this end. I'm with Justin Moon on this. I'm hopeful that this ends sooner rather than later so that we can move on towards the midterms. We come back. Who knows what direction we're going to go with Neil McCabe. Maybe we'll ask him if UFOs are real. We'll be right back with Neil. Don't go away. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around with us during the breaks. For those of you who are new to watching the program, who are maybe watching it live or who will be watching it down the road, down the pike a bit, this is, in fact, a national radio broadcast, which is why the live stream takes a break for 4 minutes at 17 to 21 after, 30 to 34 after the hour, and 44 to 48 after the hour. We've got network breaks on both sides and local breaks at the bottom. We cut those for you so you don't hear those, because I would hear them in my head, because that's the feed you're getting on your YouTube stream. And that would just drive both of us nuts, and it would make it very, very difficult to get any work done behind the scenes with that just plowing through your brain. So Greg is kind enough to cut those for me. And that's why we have these breaks. This is not a podcast. This is a live Top 100 Heavy 100 talk radio show in America, according to Talkers Magazine. We're hopeful to hit that again in 2026 as this year continues to unfold. Hope you guys are having a great Mother's Day. Stick with us. We come back from the break. We're going to have Neil McCabe for one more segment. Then we're going to take a top of the hour break, and we're going to head into a roundtable. And guys, buckle in. As you know, it just flies right by. So hang with us. And if you're one of those ones that haven't yet subscribed to us on YouTube, please do us a solid over there and hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate it much as we continue to grow rapidly our presence online with these live streams for you, okay? Thanks. Be back in just a moment. Yeah, welcome back, guys. If you're watching, I am holding up my attorneys on retainer card. I do this in the third segment or in the fourth segment, the beginning of the fourth segment every single day. Back, guys, here's the deal. If you don't have the attorneys in your pocket and you've decided to protect yourself with a firearm and you're a lawful CCW permit holder, or you're carrying in a constitutional state, as 29 states of us around the country are, fortunately, thank God. Never thought we'd see that day come as fast as it did, but we did. And you don't have this in your wallet yet, you're doing a real disservice to your family and to your potential financial and your own safety's sake, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't want to wind up in the slammer, and you don't want to be spending $1,500 an hour or more for an attorney to keep you out of jail. This card right here will put 4 attorneys at your table for you in the event that you find yourself having to face the worst day of your life and then have to defend it in court. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. You can find them and all of our great partners, including Bud's Gun Shop, Blackout Coffee, and others at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We've got you covered. Let's go back to the great Neil McCabe. Neil McCabe from Real America's Voice. Neil, welcome back in. It's always a pleasure, and your contribution to this program over the decades has meant a lot to all of us. We wouldn't have gotten here without you participating as well. Neil, let's move over back stateside. Let's go now to DOJ issues, because we are seeing a tremendous amount of movement from the DOJ with Todd Blanche, now with Robert Cicada, and, of course, Harmeet Dillon. Colorado now getting smacked upside the head with the Bill of Rights. We're pretty certain that's going to happen in Virginia as well. A lot of changes. The ATF now overnight, Neil, and I haven't had a chance to get your take on this yet, becoming our friend, literally overnight. Who would have ever guessed that? I mean, what do you think, as the analyst that you are, when you watch all of these incredible developments in these positive moves regarding our Second Amendment and our Bill of Rights?
Well, the White House has given Todd Blanche 90 days to win this job. He's the acting attorney general, and he has 90 days, 3 months, to basically put together a program that shows that he should be the attorney general permanently and confirmed. One of the things that the White House is concerned about is that Justice Alito may retire.
Right.
And if there's a confirmation fight to put somebody on the Supreme Court, they don't want to burn things on an attorney general that they need to win the Supreme Court, right? So Supreme Court is more important than an attorney general, and you can just extend Blanche for like another 200 days or whatever, because he was already confirmed by the Senate as the deputy attorney general. There's a lot more leeway in holding him as the acting. And so what you're seeing from Todd Blanche is just a flurry of very, very strong actions that we did not see under Attorney General Pam Bondi. And, it's you can speculate all you want about what happened or why it happened, but the fact of the matter is that Todd Blanche is getting the job done. I saw him the other night, actually about a week ago. Elise Stefanik had a book party hosted by Mike Davis, and the General Blanche was there. I was able to shake his hand, say hello to him. I was on his staff up until December, and so I think that a lot of fantastic things are happening with the Justice Department. Harmeet Dillon was already there, but M. Bondi, there was some. There wasn't the attention to pushing things that you're seeing with Blanche. And I think part of that is because she was working from her home office in Florida and basically flying up to Washington for her press conferences and Fox hits. And it's just hard to run the department from your home office in Florida.
Well, what I'm seeing from Blanche is what I wish I would see from a multitude of Republican politicians running on their support for the Second Amendment. And Blanche it's not lost on him. I've interviewed him myself. It's not lost on him the importance of gun owners for Republican-based voters. They're very well aware of that. They know this is ripe for the opportunity, Neil. Come in here lightning fast and start moving on some of these Second Amendment issues that were promised to the electorate, and guess what happens? It's a win-win all the way around. Bondi, let me just say this. Blanche and Cicada have Second Amendment in their blood. Bondi did not. So it wasn't at the top of her mind.
We saw that with George Zimmerman.
Correct.
And Parkland.
It just was not in her DNA flowing through her veins like it is Cicada and like it is Todd Blanche. Both of these individuals I trust. I've not met Robert Cicada, but I have met Todd Blanche. I've talked to him on air and off air, and I trust what he's telling me because we're seeing it come true. And the same thing with Cicada. I trust AWR Hawkins. He was in Washington with Cicada in his office on Sunday and Monday, just this past week. So we know we've got the right people. Neil, without the ATF going away, is the ATF going to transform itself until it goes away, eventually, hopefully it does, into another pro-gun arm of this administration? Is that even possible, or is it just a dream?
Yeah. Under the Reagan administration, the line was, political appointees was, personnel is policy. You put the right person in the right job, and they just take care of it. And when you have bad personnel in the wrong job, it's a disaster. And that's not to say there aren't still some people who need to be shuffled around a little bit. The idea was a year ago was to just dismantle and get rid of ATF.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, Kash Patel was the director of ATF. Then they put, believe it or not, Dan Driscoll, the Secretary of the Army,
right.
was the acting director.
How short our memories are, right?
And so this is like, now the people are thinking, okay, let's keep this thing because we can run it. And the danger is that, in the wrong hands, it becomes a dangerous place again. And so, the joke, of course, is that alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Yeah. Where's the who's bringing the chips?
Are actually legal.
Yeah. Who's bringing the chips? Now, here's what I say, and I'm getting pressure now, even in the chat, to turn this into a T-shirt. Turn this into a T-shirt. Yeah. I mentioned this on 97.1 FM in St. Louis just last week. We need to get the F out of there, meaning get the F out of ATF. Yeah. Okay, so there's a new T-shirt. Okay, honestly. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. Neil, we're getting ready to end this hour. Tell people where they can watch you and all that cool stuff, not just here on Armed American Radio, but where can they watch you on TV?
Well, you can find me on all the socials at Reporter McCabe. I co-host the Trump Tuesday space on X every Tuesday, obviously. I'm at Real America's Voice. I do hits from the White House. And tomorrow at the White House, the Indiana football team, the national champions, are going. Let's see if their quarterback shows up.
Yeah, well, that was a big issue online. Neil McCabe, thank you, brother, for everything that you do. We appreciate it so much, and we appreciate your contribution to this program. Have a great rest of your day. Guys, we're going to be back 6 minutes after the hour with the Roundtable crew. That's going to be, of course, Justin Moon, Brad Premo, and Ryan Petty. We'll be back. Hey, guys, welcome in. Greg and I are just sitting here going over some work-related stuff during the break. Coming up next is, of course, Justin Moon, CEO of CAR, Parkland father Ryan Petty, and Brad Premo. We love Brad. Brad, combat vet, former law enforcement officer, and, of course, one of the founders of Lead Slingers. So we love what Brad brings to the table. He's a great analyst. He's been with us for a number of years. So the Roundtable, classic AAR Roundtable, is coming up next for you. And some of you have had some questions. Let me see if I can answer a couple of those. You're seeing ads on YouTube now. There's a reason for that. Some of them I understand are popping in, and I appreciate your feedback. We'll be able to timestamp when you see those. It's a learning curve for us. We'll get there, so hang tight with us. We appreciate it. If you've not yet subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. Please do so. We would appreciate it. Share the YouTube video link on your social media. Help us get it out there, as we've hit a whole bunch of new thresholds over on that platform. And we do appreciate them very much for allowing us to move in that direction finally. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you here in just a few minutes. Might pop on with you before the top, or before the 6 minutes for the top of the next hour of the program, which is at 6 minutes after. Don't go away. Be right back with you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So it's always fun. I like talking about my guitars. I've got a bunch of them. And I see this question all the time. What is that guitar behind you? Is that just a prop? No, my neighbors can promise you that that guitar is not just a prop. So for those of you who asked earlier, this is a PRS SE 245 single cut, maple top, hollow body. It's actually a veneer on this one. Every once in a while, you'll see me wear the hat with the birds on it. That's the PRS logo. Let's see if we can get that in there for you. And that's the SE 245. This guitar is made in Indonesia, and it's the real deal. Actually, I believe that one was made in Korea before they moved the manufacturing to Indonesia. But that thing cranks. Got a couple Marshalls in here, and one pedal in front of it.
Gang's all here.
Ibanez Tube Screamer. Yeah, let's just say the neighbors can hear it. So those that like to ask about the guitars, that's what that one is. There's also a Gibson SG, and maybe during the next break we'll swap them out, and I'll show you that because that's one of my favorite guitars. And during the next break, I'll tell you what my favorite guitars are, at least of the 4 Gibsons I have. And we'll be back here in just a second with you live, guys. And it looks like we've got Ryan Petty in video here. The whole crew is here, Justin Moon and Brad Premo. We'll start the hour here in just about a minute. And guys, for copyright purposes, I'll go ahead and mute my mic. The enemies of freedom are out there. They are alive and well. We're going to be talking about a bunch of them during the roundtable with the crew. Greg, we've got the whole crew in, right? Got everybody
Yeah,
online?
everybody's here.
Who was first to come in? I'm just curious.
Ryan on the Opal, but the first caller was Brad, but
All right.
Justin was right behind him.
And Justin's right there, too. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to wrap up the Iran thing and get some of his conversation with Justin, some of those concerns he's been echoing over the last few weeks, because we had that conversation in depth with Neil McCabe. And I'll give you some of my thoughts on that, because, guys, this all ties back to your gun rights. Guys, you're in the Car Firearms Group studios with me. Mark Walters in front of this powerful CZ microphone, and it's all being brought to you here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch and Command Center. Greg, in Dallas, Texas, we're live for everybody on YouTube at Armed American Radio, and I'll let you do your thing, and then we'll go to the crew.
Yeah, sure. You can join the live chat. Just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, you can do that, and when you do that, you become one of the knuckleheads in the chat. And get active over there. If you will, and Neil makes that very clear. And guys, here's the deal. If you've not yet subscribed to us on YouTube, we would appreciate you doing that. Please hit the subscribe button. You'll get a couple videos every single day and the live streams every day, 4 to 5 Eastern, as well as the Sunday Monster Cast, 8 to 11. You can watch it at your own convenience. And don't forget, I started my day with Blackout Coffee today. You should too. blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. That QR code up on your screen is exactly that. It's there to help you out. Pick you up some Blackout Coffee. All right, let's go right to the phones. Let's go with Brad Premo first. Brad, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. What'd you barbecue this weekend? It's Mother's Day today. Do I know you well enough to know that you smoked some meat?
No, not this weekend. It's been pretty packed for us. So, yeah, unfortunately, just didn't have the time to do it.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll fix that for you next weekend. There's always tomorrow. Justin Moon, the CEO of Car Arms. How you doing, my friend? Great to have you here in the Car Firearms Group studios.
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother, we got a lot to cover with you, And Ryan Petty, you're up on our screens here. Welcome in, Ryan. It's great to have you here. Thanks for jumping in on camera with us. We do appreciate it.
Mark, good to be here tonight with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're looking good, man. You're looking good. Love that camera. Love that camera on you. Love that camera. All right, guys, let's start with this. Brad, I'm going to take it around you. It's where we started with you. Let's go around the table from you, and we'll keep that clock going throughout the hour. Brad, there's a lot of developments in Iran. Neil McCabe, I'm not going to go into everything he talked about, but suffice to say there's a lot happening there. There's a lot of strategy being played right now by Trump and the administration. Justin's concern, your concern, my concern has always been the midterms. Let's talk a little bit about it. You have experience, unfortunately, in that region of the world. You know how a lot of this operates. You know how the Iranians operate with your military background. You've been a witness to their carnage. How do you foresee this ending? Because weeks ago we were talking about it being 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, and that's of course been Justin's concern. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is, I have a tremendous amount of trust in the president and his team to handle this, make the outcome the best, for the American people and for the country. Looking at how things are playing out, I mean, the Iranians, I think one of the challenges we're facing is that we probably were too effective at killing off, their top layers of leadership to the point where we have two factions there that neither one are fully in control. And so we may be talking to the more rational ones, but the IRGC hardliners, they still have their fingers on the triggers, and so they're still able to cause us problems. I think ultimately what's going to probably end up happening, and we're going to have to, is we're going to just have to start killing these guys again until we finally get to one that values his own life, that will come to the table and say, okay, that's enough. Whether that's another 2 weeks or 2 months, I don't know. I don't think it'll be too much longer. I think that they've been severely weakened. One of the things we have to look at, I know midterms are a concern, but I mean, just kind of reading tea leaves, I mean, one person who doesn't seem concerned at all about midterms is the president.
You're right.
And, I think a lot of that, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he probably knew how the Supreme Court was going to do on the Voting Rights Act. Things are kind of in our favor there with the redistricting. Tennessee, we're about to be a completely red state. Some other states are going to follow suit. Virginia got their thing tossed. So,
right.
I don't think we're in that dire of a situation, midterms wise. And so really let's just focus on, finishing up this military operation and let's just get busy killing these guys and just get it over with.
And let's get gas prices down where they need to be. Justin Moon, CEO, Car Arms, that's been your concern for quite some time. Neil kind of echoed what Brad had to say in the previous segment, and that was in Trump time, he's not worried about this at all. In Trump time, according to him, and you know Neil well, you've conversed with him many, many times on this broadcast over many years, he believes that in Trump time, Trump couldn't care less about the midterms. As far as he's concerned, it might as well be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Do you share that thought, or is your level of concern still there in the midterms, which are vital to us going forward for our 2A issues?
Well, right now, this war has divided the conservative electorate, and the anti-war side has pretty much, abandoned the Trump camp. So that's, we can't win elections without independent votes. I mean, Republicans only represent about a third of the country. A third is independents, and maybe, 30% is Democrats. So if we don't win a big chunk of the midterms, even with redistricting, I don't think it's a guarantee that we'll hold the House or even the Senate. The other challenge that we do have is, this war has gone on, dragged on now nearly 70 days, and if it starts up again, it could just go straight to the midterms. There's no indication that Iran is completely defeated or that they're out of missiles. Every report which I've seen has basically indicated that they're basically reconstituting their missile stocks and missile inventory and rebuilding their, conventional, arsenal of missiles and drones. And, the embargo is about as effective as it's going to be in the first, couple of weeks. After that, holes open up. Right now, there's a completely uninterrupted, trade between Russia and Iran through the Caspian Sea. Their overland trade with Pakistan is increasing every day. This is not, it's not playing in our favor militarily at this point. So, what I really feel concerned for the president, because when I look at the situation with this war, he has no good options.
Yeah, I want to be able, thank you for that response. You know that area of the world better than anybody at this table. And, your brother was just recently over there trying to end communism, and you guys know all about that over there and what's been going on in Iran. And I'm talking about China now. I'm getting ahead of myself. But, Ryan, let me go to you now. You heard Brad. You heard Justin. Midterms again. And, guys, the reason we focus on this conversation, those of us on the table are in agreement, I believe. I think anyway, and they'll correct me if I'm wrong. that this is probably likely going to be one of the greatest impacts on the midterms, which are vital for us and our movement. It's that simple. Ryan, still a threat there? And then I have a follow-up, but we'll take that in the next break, after the next break.
Look, Mark, I'm more optimistic today sitting here than I have been in the past several weeks about what's going on there, despite the lack of progress with whoever's in charge of Iran at this point, right? I think Brad's spot on. I think there's fractured factions over there. I don't think there's anybody specifically or necessarily in charge. We may have taken out too many in the regime too quickly for them to sort of regroup and to figure out what's going on. But look at, we had a great week. The Supreme Court of Virginia said, not so fast, Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, Texas, all these other states, Tennessee have redistricted. There's an 8-seat advantage now, Republicans. That doesn't mean we're going to win all 8 seats, but it's likely that we'll win all 8 seats. That helps us maintain. And look what was announced by President Trump just in the past 24 hours or so, 24, 48 hours. There's a ceasefire going on between Russia and Ukraine. That's progress we didn't expect this weekend. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I trust the president and his team and what they're doing. Sure, could this have ramifications for the midterms? Absolutely. And I think we're right to be concerned about that. But as I sit here tonight, I'm more optimistic than I have been since we started the engagement with Iran.
Yeah, and certainly since we've been discussing this since that started. Guys, when we come back, I'm going to follow up with the gentleman at the table and take it right to this entire deal, right to Second Amendment. I'll explain why and how when we come back from the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back with you guys with a roundtable. Back at you, guitar hounds. Those of you that were questioning the guitars in the back, I just swapped it out for you. One of my favorites of all time. This is the Gibson SG. Standard. She's absolute beauty. And I have to admit, I have some very cool guitar straps. Those are bullets. That's right. That's it. 4 live rounds on there, too, on that strap, by the way. And she is a monster when plugged into that Marshall. And I'll tell you this, those of you who know. It's one of those internet deals, right? If you know, you know. That's the exact same guitar that Angus Young has been playing for the last 50 years and still is playing because they're currently touring right now. Anyway, hope that answers some of your questions on the guitars. There will be more where that came from because it's fun to talk about. Back with you in just a second. Yeah, guys, that would be a really cool thing for you to do, and that would be join the National Rifle Association. It's nra.org/AAR, nra.org/AAR. Please do that. You can find the National Rifle Association over at armedamericanradio.com, or you can just go right to the headquarters. You can use NRA HQ. You can join wherever you want. Just use the AAR promo code. Get $15 off over there, and you become a member of the 900-pound gorilla in the room, which the NRA still is. And there is power in numbers. And you're going to see why it's important to be a member of all these groups as we continue this conversation on Armed American Radio's Monstercast here in the Car Firearms Group studios, here in front of the CZ powerful microphone. Patriot Mobile Command Center lit up for you. And I have to hand it to some of the guys in the chat over here. I'm enjoying some of the comments during the break. And guys, if you don't watch the program, or you get up and leave during the breaks, don't do that, because when we're talking to you, you get some cool stuff. I've got some guitars behind me. You can see that. They are not props. They are real. This is a Gibson SG, and I had a PRS behind it. Was showing those off during the break and talking a little bit about those. And I see some chats in here that from Martin says, that's a beautiful tobacco sunburst on a Tiger Maple PRS. Martin knows his guitars. Scooter jumps in and says, let's jam. I'm a drummer, Scooter. I'm loving it. And then who do we have on here? Martin plays the bass, so you got the bass. We just need a singer, right? Maybe another guitarist. I'll back him up. So thanks for jumping in on the chat, guys. We see them, and we're reading them during the live stream. We appreciate it very much. Let's go back to the group. Ryan Petty will bring you back up on stage here. And, Brad, I'm going to go back to you. Let's take the conversation now where we were to Second Amendment issues. And I don't know the answer to this question, which is why I'm going to ask it. I find it interesting. We have seen lightning-fast movement from the DOJ regarding gun rights, ATF, coming out of the DOJ, from Todd Blanche, from Cicada, and others, and Harmeet Dillon, Colorado being slapped upside the head with the Bill of Rights. Look, nothing in Washington happens in a vacuum, Brad, and you know that. Okay, everybody at this table knows that. Everything happens for a reason. It's very unlikely that something happens by happenstance. And I'm wondering, could there be a correlation? You heard Justin talk about the war dividing some of the Republican base. There's no question about that. I see that as well. Could these lightning-fast moves on 2A be designed as fast as they are by the administration to help keep that base intact when we see what they're doing in favor of our gun rights? Could that be? Could there be a correlation there?
I mean, sure, absolutely. I mean, it could also just be the administration doing the right thing. Doing what they promised to do all along and delivering. I mean, you know, one of the problems I have with this idea that people are abandoning the president because they don't agree with the war in Iran, I got to be honest with you, like that's actually one of the more irritating things about this whole situation, because, you know, a lot of these people act as if they were promised something that was inviolate and could never change, and that's just not the way of the world. That's not how things work. And, you know, you don't get to just, you know, throw your hands up and say, well, you know what, I don't like this, and so I'm just going to, like, throw a temper tantrum and take my ball and go home, or whatever it is. Disagree all you want, and we'll have that debate internally, but that doesn't mean you abandon the president or abandon his agenda, because that man is doing more for this country than any president in my lifetime.
Oh, there's no question.
To include Ronald Reagan, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know?
there's no question.
So, you know, maybe it is an effort to kind of to bridge some gaps or you know, kind of repair some bonds. But, you know, honestly, you know, in my estimation, is what I've seen out of this president is, you know, they are righting wrongs, and what they are doing, in my opinion, a lot of it is designed to last for years. This, like, he is setting a legacy, you know, that's intended to last for years of fixing all these problems, all these wrongs, all the damage that these commie Democrats have done to us over the years.
Yeah,
he's trying to get it all fixed, and this is just another thing that he is fixing.
Well, you know, interesting that you said that, because Neil took it just a little bit further when he said that we are currently living, Justin, in a world designed by FDR and Stalin. Trump is changing all of that for the next century and beyond. So back to my original question that I asked Brad, and Brad, I appreciate your insight. Could this be a way, Justin? As I've said for years and years and years, and I'll go ahead and push Justin McNeil right now in South Dakota, guys. Visit his site at justinmcneil.com, MCNEAL.com. We need to get him elected in South Dakota as we talk about these midterms, so please make sure to go there and visit that page. But Justin, the changes have been lightning fast. Is there a correlation here? Because that's the way politics works, brother. Let's fix the base over here. We didn't see any of this stuff go on with Bondi, and that's because the Second Amendment, as I told Neil, wasn't in her DNA, as it is Todd Blanche and clearly Robert Cicada. So if all this is tied together, does it help, if in fact it is? Does it help shore up or glue that base together?
I think, certainly supporting the 2A issue and Second Amendment advocating folks will certainly increase the president's popularity and maybe be of some help. The real tragedy about this situation was the timing of the war, that it came like 7 months before the midterms. If he had waited till after the midterms to do this, then it wouldn't be as big of a concern. But we do have a very serious issue, with our base right now. And it's, the other thing is that, very significant figures like Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or Alex Jones, those people, you would have hoped that the president would have treated them a little bit nicer because, they were very important and instrumental in putting the Trump coalition together to get him elected. It was a little bit rough with them. So I think we do have to be sensitive to the independents and conservatives who vote on our team. And we have to do our best to mend fences and to compromise with them so that they get back on voting for us.
We need them for the midterms, Ryan.
We absolutely do.
We definitely do. Ryan. Oh, he's muted. Your mic is muted there. Go ahead and bring that back up. Let's try that. Got you. We'll get you back, Ryan. I see you on there.
Hey, what about now?
There we go. Can we hear you good?
I think so.
There we go. There you are. What are your thoughts
All right.
on what you just heard from Brad and Justin? You can take us to the bottom of the hour.
Well, we need every vote we can get. There's no question about it, which is why I say every week, everybody within the earshot of our voices needs to be prepared to go out and vote in the midterms, whether you believe President Trump is on the ballot or not. This president is trying to be consequential. And the difference I see with this administration over the previous one, and Mark, you'll remember we worked on some, school safety stuff with the first Trump administration during that, was that
30.
I think he learned how quickly everything good that he did in his first term could be undone by a Biden administration or somebody like a Biden administration. So everything he's doing now is an attempt to make his executive decisions and changes be more permanent, as permanent as they can be. And so it's slow, it's deliberate, it takes time. But look, everybody's got to reconcile themselves. I get that some folks are off the Trump team. That's on them, in my view. This president is consequential. He is trying to do the right thing, and he's trying to make it durable.
We got to cut you off on that one. We're going to come to the bottom of the hour. We'll be back right after this, guys. Yeah, guys, welcome back to the show. That rejoin is blackoutcoffee.com, blackoutcoffee.com. That QR code over my shoulder above you, if you're watching on your devices, TVs, Roku's, Apples, YouTube, whatever. Hope you're watching on YouTube. Is a Blackout Coffee AAR. That's it. Well, see, I got to go opposite over there, camera-wise. But there it is. It's up there. All right, you can see it on your stream, and that is a QR code for Blackout Coffee. And we have just got our new delivery, so we're swimming in Blackout Coffee right now. I did start my day with 2 cups of that, and it is really, really good. Also, budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Always accessories on sale over there at our exclusive online retailer. Make sure to visit them, and you can find them and all of our great partners, including AZCDL and VCDL.org. Both of those organizations need our help desperately right now. It's just as simple as joining you out of state. It works perfect. You don't need to live there, guys. There's power in numbers. We need to scratch each other's backs. More about the rest of our partners when we come back. Brad Premo, welcome back in, my brother. I'm going to go to you next. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to Virginia with you right now because this is interesting. We saw what happened with Spanberger. She just got, since we've spoken last, Brad, she just got smacked upside the head by the Virginia State Supreme Court. Her poll numbers are in the toilet. Virginians do not apparently like what they put in place, and that includes a lot of Democrats as well. But the anti-gun laws that the Democrats ram down our throats are, in fact, in place. We've got until the 22nd of this month before the assault weapons ban, or assault firearms ban that they call it in Virginia, either goes into effect that day, or she signs it either way, or vetoes it, which isn't going to happen. Is she paying attention to Colorado getting smacked upside the head by the DOJ now suing Colorado and suing Denver proper for their assault weapons ban? Is Virginia watching this, Brad, and actually saying ruh-roh, or do they just not care?
No, there's not a chance that they care.
How did I know that was a rhetorical question for you? How did I know that?
we just saw these people spend $80 million on a referendum, to ram through a referendum that they were told from the get-go what they were doing was illegal and unconstitutional, and they still did it anyways because in their mind, the end justifies the means. They thought that if they could just ram that through, that because it was already said and done, the Supreme Court of Virginia just throw their hands up and say, well, it's already done, so we got to live with it. And that's what they're banking on. The left is so used to having favoritism from institutions
that
they just believe the rules don't apply to them. Right? That's their mindset. And so, they're not going to care what the DOJ does in Colorado because, I'm sure the Virginians think that they're smarter than everybody else and that their stuff is gonna work. Or somehow Hakeem Jeffries is going to ride in with another $40 million and save them, and do whatever. But no, they don't care. And honestly, I think part of the strategy is to just wear down the opposition. They're going to just keep on passing illegal an unconstitutional measure after unconstitutional measure and force the government to sue them every time they do it and spend the time and resources to make them actually follow the law.
Yeah, Justin, Brad was spot on with that. I think you agree that they just simply don't care. Their strategy is to continue to force this into court. But let's make an assumption right now with you, Justin, a little bit. Take this just farther down the hole. Colorado gets smacked down, loses the lawsuit. Supreme Court takes up an AWB case, and we win it, which, as you know, Gottlieb has come on this program and said, if we get the case, if they take the case, we're going to win it hands down. He's confident at the Second Amendment Foundation. Let's assume that happens. What do states like New York and Virginia and California do next? Because we've seen what they've done and how they've perverted everything from Heller, McDonald, and Bruin. What next? What could they possibly do next? Because we know they're not going to go away. Any thoughts?
Well, I think if we get the assault weapon ban ruled by the Supreme Court and we're all allowed to have semi-automatic rifles, then we'll all be celebrated. We won't give a damn what the blue states are doing at that point.
I absolutely believe that you're right about that. And Ryan, I see you chuckle a little bit too. Here we've got Harmeet Dillon, who came out publicly on X just the other day and said the Supreme Court will take a case and we will prevail. You saw that. Those are bold statements coming from the DOJ Civil Rights Division and Assistant Deputy AG over there. How does this all shake down? Because the Democrats aren't going to go quietly into the night with a loss like this. They're not.
Oh, they're beside themselves already. But I mean, it's so refreshing. I'm scrolling through Twitter here, and I just see Harmeet saying assault weapons is just a made-up category. Right. I mean, this is something we've been talking about for years. We know it's a made-up category. Mm-hmm. We know it has no basis in fact or how these weapons are used, or the fact that the AR-15 is used in more times in self-defense than it is in any other than it is in crime. These are all things we've known and taken for granted, but how refreshing is it to have somebody in power actually say this out loud? Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
It really is amazing. And, if you go over to AWR's pieces, there's one here titled, which I didn't have a chance to get into with him, Brad, Harmeet Dillon, SCOTUS will rule AR-15s legal all over America. No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and I did ask the other group of guests in the previous hours, could it be that she knows something we don't know? I mean, I don't know the answer to that question, and honestly, from a Supreme Court standpoint, I would prefer that we don't know the answer to those questions for obvious reasons, okay? I would like to be the fly on the wall and know this regarding this, but she seems as confident as Gottlieb here is, Brad. That's got to be encouraging to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, even if, let's suppose that she doesn't know something, but it's just encouraging to see somebody in that position that has that type of conviction.
Yeah.
I don't recall any time in my lifetime that I've been paying attention to Second Amendment rights, which is, like 25 years now since I turned 21 and got a carry permit. Is like, I don't recall anybody speaking with that type of conviction, in their words when it comes to things like AR-15s and the right of the people to keep and bear arms. So whether you know something or not, it's refreshing, and
yeah.
I love it.
I couldn't agree more. Justin, to you, it truly is refreshing to see this coming from, and there is no question, ladies and gentlemen, whatever your thoughts on Trump are, whatever side you're on, this is the single most pro-rights administration in our lifetimes. And Justin, I'll go back as far as say as almost to the nation's founding, brother. I don't know of any administration we've looked back that has been this forthcoming with advancing our right to bear arms. Do you?
Well, no, I haven't. I mean, Trump administration is the gold standard for 2A rights.
Well said.
And that's a fact, undisputable.
Well said, Ryan. You're shaking your head. Absolutely 100%. The gold standard. I love it. It's true.
I love what's going on right now. And again, I think they're being slow and deliberate about this, so these things cannot be easily undone. We saw the Biden administration act in many ways against, when they rammed through these ATF changes last year, many in violation of the APA. What the Trump administration is doing. Look, it'd be great if Trump would have just rescinded all that stuff immediately through executive order, which I'm not a lawyer, but I guess he could do. It's so much better to take the path that they're taking right now, where they're putting these things up for comment. Mm-hmm. They're going through the process that Biden didn't go through, and these things are going to stick and be much, much more difficult to change should a Democrat return to power someday.
Yeah, and something I'm looking forward to hearing from you next as an FFL and from Justin as the CEO of CAR is these changes to the 4473. Now, you've seen it. Now, look at you. I see you. So I love being on the radio and being able to see you throw your thumbs up and shake your paw. We'll talk with you guys about that when we come back from this break. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. We've got one more segment to go. Don't go away. I promise you, we will be right back after this break. So hang tight with us. The music will start in just a second. And when it does, we'll go ahead. There we go. We'll be back right after this. Guys, where's the QR code? Is it over there or is it over there? You see it. I see it. It's just mirrored on my side, I think. That's why. Or not mirrored? Don't know. Martin, was it Martin says, I guess you're not flying commercial with that guitar strap. Well, you would be correct about that. Because even though it's fake, but you cannot take those, even the fake rounds, obviously. So I have to check my guitar strap in. Fortunately, I don't have to declare it. And guys, I don't know if we're going to get to this one yet. I think we will, because I do want to get thoughts on the table. It's just a matter of what we get on responses. Something that we haven't talked about on the Daily Defense or the Monster Cast over the last 2 weeks, and that is Hawaii. I don't know if you saw what happened in Hawaii just over the last couple weeks, but Hawaii capitulated and is now offering out-of-state permits. Now, I don't know how that's effective that's going to be. I'm sure there's lots of people that travel back and forth to Hawaii. I'm not one of them. But many do. So I don't know what the process is. I haven't had a chance to look into what Hawaii's process is, but I'm sure it's going to require a couple trips to the island. And a while back, we were talking with Jared Yanis and another individual who had made it his mission to literally travel the states to go get their permits. And he was about 8 to 10 grand in and a lot of miles and a lot of flights to get that taken care of. We'll check and see with Jared tomorrow or Tuesday if, in fact, Hawaii is going to be on his list now, which I'm sure it probably will be. But, yeah, so if you want to get that Hawaii permit, now you can. The next step, of course, is to get rid of the permit in Hawaii. It's going to take a while. Hawaii is a very anti-gun state, run by you-know-who. But, yeah, again, the cavalry is coming, ladies and gentlemen. The cavalry is coming. We are piling up victories. There's no question about it. Be back with the crew here in just under 2 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is an Attorneys on Retainer card. I'm going to bring Ryan up here because I know Ryan's got one as well, too. And he's going to, there it is. See, he was thinking, I'm going to pull this out of my wallet because he knows when we talk about this. Let me ask you something, Ryan Petty. Do you sleep better at night knowing you have this in your pocket?
I absolutely do, and everyone in my family has one too. And then that way, if we're forced to defend ourselves, I know I've got attorneys at the ready to defend me. It not only makes me sleep better at night, it makes me sleep better at night for my entire family.
Well, I tell you, you better believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, here on the back of the card is everything you need to do. And when you read the back of this after you join us over at AOR, which is attorneysonretainer.us, use that /AAR there. But when you do join us over there at Attorneys on Retainer, when you look at this card, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, that's not exactly everything that I was told on the other card I have from this other group. No, they're not attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe they had an attorney that they don't know from outside write them because they're not a law firm. These are legal. Right here. This is your legal stuff here. This is what you need to know, okay? from the attorneys themselves who specialize in only one thing, and that's self-defense law, period. We're going to be hearing from Rachel or Joey 1 week from today on the broadcast, talking about some self-defense issues, some new cases they're handling. Boy, you need to know these things. Scary stuff, ladies and gentlemen. God forbid you have to use a firearm. Attorneys on Retainer has your back. You can find them and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. And let's not forget justinmcneil.com in South Dakota. The man needs our help. Everything that we're talking about here politically, midterms, etc., we need people like Justin McNeil in office. It does not matter if you live in South Dakota. Senators matter. Don't think so? Most of us don't live in New York. Think Chuck Schumer and whether or not he matters, okay? So, guys, help us elect the people that support our right to keep and bear arms. Justin McNeil, McNeil.com. All right, guys, welcome back. Roundtable, one more. I'm going to jump to Hawaii now. I'm going to forego everything we were going to talk about. I want to jump to Hawaii because I want to get this in. Guys, on April 26th, Brad, I'll go to you first. On April 26th, Hawaii capitulated, caved, fell, and said, yeah, okay, we're not going to fight this anymore. Non-resident permits are now allowed in the state of Hawaii. This is a remarkable move. Mark Smith, constitutional attorney at Four Boxes Diner, was talking about this in one of his recent videos, and it's quite fascinating. Now, until we get rid of permits, at least it's a step in the right direction, Brad. I don't know how many people, I don't know what their process is. I don't know how many people will fly back and forth to the island. I don't know how long it takes. But I suspect maybe they're coming around. Could this be they know they're also going to lose that Wolford v. Lopez case out there, too? I mean, we've been chalking up wins, Brad.
I think that's a good suggestion there. I mean, if they're Hawaii of all places capitulating, I mean, that's one of the last places on the map you'd think would roll over. So, this whole idea that if you travel to certain states that you no longer have a right to protect yourself is just absurd. And so if these commies out there are finally, waking up to the fact that, hey, they're going to lose this one, so, maybe live to fight another day, that's fine. But, you kind of mentioned, the basic thing, which is until we do away with permits across the country, the fight's not over.
You're absolutely spot on. Justin, could this be a sign? Now, maybe we can even take it out. We can take it beyond Hawaii. Could this be a sign that not only Hawaii Dems, but Dems in toto are seeing what's happening? Could they be accepting that they're losing this issue?
Well, this gun rights movement and the gun rights issue is a civil rights matter.
Yep.
And I think the Democrats are starting to understand that, Americans like their civil rights, and they've come to understand that they need 2A to defend themselves against tyranny in government. So.
And many of them are their constituents too, Justin. Let's be fair, okay?
Absolutely.
Honestly, there's a lot of Democrats that carry firearms. Maybe they carry firearms for different reasons than you do, ladies and gentlemen, but they have that same civil right. And that's the key right there, Ryan, isn't it? Civil right, which is, again, why Harmeet Dillon, who heads up the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ, is going after Virginia, or says she's going after Virginia, which I have every reason to suspect, based on what we just saw in Colorado, will in fact be the case. This is a way to fight on this front, Ryan, and win it in court. But we have got to get that decision from SCOTUS on one of these other AWB cases, don't we, in order to really move forward?
We do. And, it was mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we're living in an FDR world. We literally are, right? You think about the Gun Control Act and the Firearms Act and all these things that we've lived with for almost 100 years. The Second Amendment has been a second-class right. It's great to see it talked about as a civil right. It's great to see the federal government treating it like the civil right that it is and taking action to protect a civil right, a cherished civil right by most Americans. I'll add something to what Justin just said because I agree. I think the other thing Americans are recognizing, and they're seeing it because what's happening in our blue states and our blue cities, these places are becoming unlivable hellholes for many citizens in these states, and they're recognizing that they don't have anything to fear from law-abiding Americans exercising the civil right that's enshrined in the Second Amendment. What they have to fear are the politicians and the judges that allow these criminals to continue to commit offenses and don't lock them up and don't take crime seriously. And quite frankly, the other thing we're not doing is treating mental health as the disease that it is, and drug addiction and what's going on there. And they're seeing the Trump administration tackle all of these simultaneously.
All of it.
I think
it's incredible.
I think it bodes well for us for the next several decades if President Trump could be successful in getting a few things across the finish line.
Brad, could that mean nuking the filibuster and doing it right now? And then I want to get to Justin on that quickly, too.
I wish they would, just because, we all know what's going to happen if Democrats ever get, all three levers of power again. Fortunately, I think that, again, with redrawing these maps and some of the things coming on the horizon, it could be a long time until the Democrats can ever get a trifecta. But, why wait? I mean, we have them on the run. If we nuke that filibuster, if we can keep all three branches of government, we can literally crush the Democrat Party and make it so they can potentially never win another election again in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think they're in for a real shock come the midterms. Justin, I believe the Dems are in for a real shock during the midterms. I just believe that. But real quick, I've got to go real fast. Nuke the filibuster or not?
At this time, I'd say no.
Okay, Justin's on par for no with that. We're going to keep the scorecard on here, guys. Ryan, real fast, nuke the filibuster, yes or no, before we go to the break, the end of the hour, actually.
It makes me nervous. I'm no right now. I'm no right now
okay.
until I see more evidence.
Right now, we're tied 2-2 here, guys, in the table, so we're going to keep up with the scorecard. We never know what might change somebody's mind at the round table. Ryan Petty, thank you for everything that you bring to the show, brother. We appreciate it very much. Brad Premo, CEO, Lead Slingers, founder, Lead Slingers, former combat vet and law enforcement officer, thank you for everything that you do. And, of course, Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms. We're in the Car Firearms Group studios with you. Thanks, guys, for being here. We appreciate it very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow precisely because they don't want us to. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy your night. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.